Here you are, 17 years old. Family asks you to come back to the business. What ambition did you have when you went to your grandfather to say, here's what I want to do? If you can go back to that day, what was the burning desire? What was the ambition you had at that point?
See, I had grown up with my grandfather. I'd seen him like a solid, strong man. My great-grandfather's siblings, they were more than hundreds of people that time, living all over, of course, within a radius of 100 kilometers. And they will all the time will come to him for various kind of helps, advices, and things like that. So his picture in my mind was of a very strong man. Mm-hmm. And I started idolizing him in a way. And when I was called back from the school, it wasn't to do business, but it was for that I cannot afford your fee and expenses. That's why I was called back. And one day when I was chatting with him, he kind of virtually, I saw tears in his eyes. And of course he tried to hide it from me, but I saw it. And that made me determined that I would wipe out this from this man's thing.
Wow. Did you tell him that?
Much later age,
Much
yes.
later.
Yes. Yeah. At that time, we both cried.
In this period of your very illustrious career, if you had to pick 2 or 3 key turning points in the late 70s and early 80s, what would you kind of point to, saying that these are the 2 or 3 very important turning points?
Major turning point, first one was the polythene and plastic covers making for food corporation and storage. That was certainly, I would call it a major turning point, though it may not have given me as much profits. But that gave me tremendous sense of pride and confidence. If I would have known how to do the public relation activity for creating capacity for more than 180 million tons of food grains. And I am talking 1975 when I was just 25 years old.
Wow. When you took this on, did you have any knowledge of the plastics business? And
nothing whatsoever. How
did you do it?
One was this Dr. Pingley. He was advising, guiding. He saw in me that here is a young fellow who is not hesitant to experiment. Mm-hmm. And of course, you then took some help from some known people who were earlier in the same trade, but they were doing very small business. And I would say that fear of unknown, or I didn't have fear because I didn't know what is in it for me.
So that's an important thing. You didn't have the fear of the unknown. Could you tell us a little bit on the origins of SL Packaging, which among other things now is the largest plastic tube making company in the world? Help us understand where it got started and the journey of that business.
See, when we were in plastics, polythene, when we did this storage capacity for the grains, one new experiment was done to laminate low-density polythene with high-density polythene and to create fumigation covers for the grain. So that introduced me to some kind of lamination, but that experiment failed. So I had already taken on lease this lamination plant for a couple of years. So what to do with that? And then we started laminating low density polythene with paper for packaging industry, for packaging of pharmaceutical products. And then one of the exhibition, which was in Germany called Interpack, and I visited that in 1982. I saw this product which used to be called a laminated tube, combination of metal and plastics mainly for toothpaste. So I felt this is a good product which should be tried and brought back to India. That's how it started with 50 million tubes capacity. And today, I think, though my youngest brother is handling that unit, that company, and he's done a tremendous job of progressing it. I think more than 8 billion tubes, I think close to 8 billion tubes we produce. 35% of the humanity, when they do brush their teeth in the morning, they use SL-made tubes.
This is a global enterprise that you have visualized and created. But when you started it, what was the nature of business in India? How was it to do business in India? I'm trying to connect your global aspirations with your domestic operations here.
Yeah, it was, again, a very horrifying experience. Firstly, I had no experience of putting up in manufacturing unit. Second, was very new to the Mumbai as a commerce capital. Third, your customers' base was only 4 of them: Colgate, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, and Jeffrey Manners. All foreign nationals, multinationals. Right. Now, and you are a 30 years old guy who says, I have brought in this technology from 3 countries, America, Japan, and Switzerland, and I want to do this. And they all knew that this product is superior than the normal metal lead tube. But they had their own vested interests, clubbed with that time's system in India was still, industries were licensed. I mean, Colgate was licensed to produce X tons of toothpaste every year. So they said, hey, why do I need to change my equipment, which will make more investment? From 20 supplier, why should I go to single supplier? And for 3 years, none of them bought a tube. One of these 4 contracted 100% capacity, but didn't buy a single. So in 3 years, that company, my company, SL Packaging, was qualified to be a SIC unit. But then some of the profits of rice exports, we kept putting into the company to avoid it to become a SIC unit. And then a domestic company was coming up to start a new brand of toothpaste. They started using it, which put pressure on all these big boys. And then there was no looking back.
Talk a little bit about the merging of SL Packaging with Propack. What were the challenges? What were the risks involved? How do you take care of that, if any?
No, Propack owner was a friend and still is a friend. He had his operations in the countries where we were not present. So it was a good combination, good fit. But challenges were only of integration of different nationalities, different people. But we didn't face much challenges in this.